Dahil sa hirap ng buhay ngayong pandemya, mas mabuting mag-tech ka muna. Pero teka muna, sandali, ingat lang bago kayo mag-click, mag-like o mag-share. Parati dapat may extra care. Ako po si Mon Isberto, ang inyong tech lolo at welcome na naman po sa isang bagong episode ng ating programa, Tech Ka Muna. Tayo po ay napapanood ng live sa 1PH Signal TV Channel 1 and you can also watch us live or on demand sa Facebook page at saka YouTube channel ng 1PH Tech Ka Muna. Okay, sandali. Ang gusto kong batiin ngayon bago tayo magsimula ng programa, mayong gabi sa atong mga igsoon, magandang gabi po sa ating mga kapatid at lalo na, I would like to greet and congratulate lahat po ng mga estudyante sa kolehiyo at saka sa high school na nag-graduate na o malapit na mag-graduate. Congratulations at kasama na dyan po siyempre yung mga magulang na talagang pinaghirapan na ma-educate ang kanilang mga anak. Pero anong gagawin mo ngayon? Lalo na yung mga college graduates. Anong gagawin ninyo ngayon na nag-graduate na kayo? Di ang susunod na hakbang ay maghahanap na po tayo ng trabaho. Okay. Pero paano tayo maghahanap ng trabaho sa gitna ng pandemya? Yun po ang pag-uusapan natin ngayong gabi. Kasi sa ganitong sitwasyon na medyo hindi ordinary ang circumstances, ang isang pwede natin gamitin para tulungan tayo, makatulong sa atin na makahanap ng trabaho gusto natin ay ang mga online platforms, mga websites, at saka mga applications, mobile apps na pang-job search. Okay? Yan ay medyo matagal na yan pero yan naging mas lalong importante nitong panahon na ito. At nagkakaroon ng mga bagong innovations yung mga job search online platforms yan. Yan ang pag-uusapan natin ngayong gabi. And we have two sets of guests from two different platforms with different approaches para gumawa ng online search. Ang una po ay ang platform na tinatawag na Kalibrr. Kalibrr. At yung pangalawa po ay yung platform na tawag po ay PasaJob. Iba-iba ang approach, pero pareho silang online at iba't ibang paraan para tulungan tayo makahanap ng trabahong gusto natin makuha. Okay, let's go straight to our first guest tonight. Siya po ang CEO at isang co-founder ng Kalibrr platform. Walang iba kundi si Mr. Paul Rivera. Good evening, Paul. Welcome to the program.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for having me.
And thank you for joining us. No, okay, Paul. You've heard my lengthy introduction, but it's a very simple thing. People graduate or people lose jobs. People want to find new jobs. No, it's not easy to do it now. No. What is the job situation before we go into your app and your platform? What's the overall job situation now at this point in time, May 2021, compared to, let's say, last year?
Yeah, what I would say, compared to last year, it's certainly better compared to last year, but it's nowhere near, say, where we were a year and a half to 2 years ago, pre-pandemic.
Okay.
How you've been impacted by the pandemic, I think depends, one, on the sector that you're in, whether you're blue collar or white collar. Two, if you're college educated or not college educated. So for example, if you're blue collar and in the service sector, the lockdowns have had a tremendous impact on your ability to work and earn a livelihood because of the closures of establishments and restaurants that are not allowed to open. during the ECQ period, which we just went through today. And we were picking up some momentum, earlier this year, but certainly
Mhm.
this lockdown again will hurt. Um, and then if you're on the white collar sector, I think you've had perhaps a slightly better outlook, where even if there is a lockdown, you're still able to work. You're able to work from home. You perhaps have been able to work from home for the last year.
Uh-huh.
So the opportunities at the white collar perhaps a little bit better than at the blue collar sector of the economy. One thing that I have noticed is there does seem to be, I think, a continued demand for Filipino talent globally. If
Mhm.
there's anything that I believe is a positive that will come out of the pandemic,
Mhm.
is the pandemic has shown every company around the world, and perhaps every company in America, that every job can be done remotely, right? We're doing
Yeah.
this interview
Mm.
remotely. And if
Yep.
every job can be done remotely, then that job can be done by anyone, anywhere. And so
Oh.
what we're seeing at Kalibrr is, if perhaps the domestic labor market is still uneven and unsure of its prospects, but
Mm.
the global labor market, particularly the US, is very bullish right now. And we're seeing quite a bit of activity of clients in the US who are using Kalibrr to hire and build remote teams here in the Philippines. So, that's typically only possible if you're college educated or white collar. So it's only available to a small subsector of the population. So, the pandemic has had an uneven impact depending on where you are.
Okay. But let me follow up on that point. I was going to ask you that later, but since you brought it up already, work from home. How big is that now? It seems that from what you just said, it can be potentially big because you can be hired not only for a job here in the Philippines, you can actually work for somebody abroad. Is that the case?
Absolutely. Even prior to the pandemic, there were millions of Filipinos working from home as freelancers. We're known as a global hotspot for freelancing. But that, I think, is going to shift from freelancing to remote teams. The Philippines has also been a hotspot for BPO, and the
Hmm.
future of BPO is going to be remote. It's going to be millions of Filipinos who are going to be working from home with other Filipinos in virtual teams, in remote teams for companies all over the world.
Wow.
What the pandemic has done is just accelerated this trend, and because of Filipino skills, their language skills, their communication skills, their ability
Mm.
to leverage technology, I think Filipinos in the mid to long term are going to be net beneficiaries in this seismic shift where the labor markets are now global, right? It is a global labor market. You can be at home in the Philippines, you can be in Batangas, and you
Mm.
can be working for a company in San Francisco, right? It's completely
Okay.
possible now, and it's happening. It's happening as we speak.
So all you need is a good, stable internet connection and the right
Yeah,
skills for that kind of market. But anong
correct.
skills yan? What skills are those, Paul? I mean, are these customer
Yeah,
service? Are these IT personnel, computer
yeah,
programmers? What kind of
yeah.
people will have a chance in this kind of opportunity?
Yeah, these are the quote unquote digital skills.
Mhm.
And, the people I think that will have opportunities here are the people perhaps that are operating in the customer service, digital marketing, software engineering,
Mhm.
product management, design, and even sales fields, right? Just imagine being able to run your whole company from the Philippines. There are now entrepreneurs all over the world who are building their companies that way. So if you can imagine all of the functions that a company would need to run, whether they're in the Philippines or the US, those are all of the functions that could be used. The challenge is, can you now be able to work in this remote environment? Can you work in this new culture, right? Can you acquire the language and communication skills to work effectively? That's often the biggest challenge that Filipinos have when it comes to taking that leap. But it's definitely overcomable.
But Paul, I mean, I'm really, frankly, surprised. I didn't realize that you know people have been talking about this, but you're telling me that it's already actually happening.
Yeah,
Employers, companies are really moving in that direction of like creating work from anywhere or work from home organizations. Is that
we
is that
we
where
see it every
companies
day.
are going?
We see it every day at Kalibrr.
Mm-hmm.
Companies all over the world who are contacting us because they want to build a team in the Philippines, customer support. Maybe
Hmm.
they want to find a designer. Maybe they want to find someone on the business team to do lead generation,
Hmm.
right? They need to build someone, and they're able to do it pretty quickly, within a matter of a couple of days on Kalibrr and build a team, and then begin to, operate their company from the Philippines. It's pretty phenomenal what technology has been able to do to be able to allow people in the Philippines to work not just from an office, BPO style for these jobs, but now from
Hmm.
their homes.
Wow. But what kind of people do you recruit for these kinds of jobs? I mean, when I say it's not only the skill sets, I mean, what backgrounds I mean, are they? Well, obviously they're college graduates of one sort of the other, right?
Yeah, but you don't have to be a college graduate. I think
Okay. Okay. I
a
was gonna
college
ask that.
degree. Yeah, I think a college degree it's helpful, but it's I think we live in a world now where it's no longer a requirement, and we're big advocates at Caliber of hiring people who do not have college degrees, as long as they have the qualifications, they can pass our assessments, they can pass their interviews. It doesn't really matter if they have a degree or not. Sometimes people run into circumstances in life where they can't finish school, but it doesn't mean that they don't have the right aptitude. So increasingly, companies around the world, particularly companies in Silicon Valley, don't really care about whether or not you have a degree. They really care about what you can do, and can you demonstrate what you can do. And I think particularly companies around the world who are hiring people in the Philippines, again, they don't really know the colleges here. So it doesn't even matter if you have a college degree. They don't know Ateneo. They don't know LaSalle, right? What they
Mm.
know is, can they do the job, right? Can they type 60 words a minute? Can they generate leads? Do they know digital marketing?
So it's okay. I mean, I've been reading about this, Paul. That employers are shifting from degree orientation to skills orientation. They're looking for the people with the skills that they need. But I didn't realize that it was reaching our shores already. You're saying it's here. It's now here.
Yeah, it's here. Particularly if you're a technology company, right?
Mhm.
Technology companies really were the pioneers in introducing this model of not caring about college degrees
Mhm.
and really focusing on the skills when it comes to recruitment. So you have the technology companies and the startups who are recruiting in this credential-less way.
Mhm.
And if they are recruiting the best talent that way, other companies are increasingly going to have to shift their behaviors if they want to be able to attract that same talent. So I think increasingly you're going to see the college degree not become the end all be all of someone's qualification. It'll just be one of many things that will allow someone to provide a view of their potential.
Okay, okay, Paul. I'm going to ask you a question that's going to be, I would imagine, relevant to kids who are in their 15s, 16s, 17s, or people who are in high school or entering their college. Okay, in this emerging working place that you're describing right now, Paul, what skills should I really cultivate if I want to be competitive sa ganitong klaseng marketplace? What
Yeah,
advice would you give them?
yeah, that's a great question, and it's one I get asked often.
Mm.
Um, And the way I answer it is often what people don't expect. What people will expect is, hey, you should learn this programming language, you should learn this technology, like you should learn Figma, you should learn Python, right? That'll get you hired. The reality is technology changes very, very quickly. And whatever technology is hot today, right?
Mm,
Microsoft used to be hot, now it's Apple, right?
mm,
Um, it changes very quickly. So the advice isn't to learn a specific technology. What it will take to be successful in this world are the things that will you need to be successful in the real world, in any world. What are those skills? I think one, problem solving, right?
mhm, mhm.
Two, communication skills, I think become even more important when we are remote, right? It's
Oh,
much
that's right.
easier to communicate, right, when we're
Mhm,
in person, right? You
mm,
can kind of infer, people's emotions and how they're thinking or feeling. Very
mm,
difficult to do when you're remote. So communication skills, remote and in person, written, oral, become very, very important. And I
mhm,
think the most important skill because of technology is learnability. Can you just be someone who loves to learn? Because if you can constantly learn,
mm. Uh-huh.
right, right, and you can just ingrain that in you, then anything that comes in front of you, you can end up learning how to do, right? And really, the best, jobs that you will get, I think, in your life are not the ones that you necessarily prepare for, right? They're the ones that kind of, they come at you and you have the right aptitude to be able
Uh-huh.
to learn how to do the job, right? So I think my focus is really on the aptitude, the soft skills, rather than any specific hard skills.
Okay. Okay. Now, let's go into your platform, Paul. I'm looking for work. I'm looking for a specific kind of job. Okay. How can I effectively use platforms like yours para
Yeah,
makahanap ng trabahong yung gusto ko? No? I
yeah,
mean, what is there anything that I have to prepare myself
yeah,
in order to use your platforms more effectively?
yeah. Well, I think the primary thing that Kalibrr is trying to do for the job seeker is change the paradigm for them, where the traditional approach is a search based approach,
Uh-huh.
um, where you have to search for a job. That assumes you know what job you're looking for. At Kalibrr, what we're trying to do at the job seeker is take a recommendations based approach where we look at your profile, our AI looks at your profile, we observe kind of your initial behaviors, and we begin to infer a understanding of who and what kind of candidate you might be, and we begin to recommend you jobs that we think you might like. And those recommendations get tailored over time based on your interactions and behaviors. So think of it like a Tinder or a Spotify for jobs, right? Or a
Mm-hmm.
Netflix for jobs,
Mm-hmm.
where we help you discover a job or a career that you didn't think that you're qualified for or fit for, but you're actually, quite a good match for. So
So,
that's the primary difference. Is we go from search to recommendation.
so what kind of information, Paul? Because you're saying that you're using an artificial intelligence platform, you
Yeah,
know, in order to, to assess, to analyze the skills of an individual. So, what kind of information
yeah,
should I share with you so that you'll get that kind of
yeah.
get that kind of insight?
So I think it's a few levels of information. One is your traditional bio data, your name, location, birthday. Then it's your
Mm-hmm.
school, your degree, where you've gone to, where you've worked, and I think where you worked, and I think that the primary difference then is what we're trying to do and what our technology is trying to do is it's actually trying to understand the content of what is in your resume. So what becomes very, very important on our platform is how you describe what you've done. What are those experiences? What are those accomplishments? what are those skills, right? Because the way it's written and the words that are there, that's what the AI is ultimately reading. It's trying to understand the context and the
Mhm.
content of what's in your resume to try to understand, well, if this person likes tax, right, and they like advisory, maybe they might like a finance job. Even though
Okay.
tax and advisory, it doesn't have finance, our
Mhm.
AI will begin to say, well, they might like finance, they might like accounting, right? Because tax advisory, those two words are often seen with finance or accounting, right? So that's kind of a simplification of how the AI works and how it's looking at the content and the context of your resume to then provide you recommendations to jobs that we think you might like.
Well, then, Paul, from what you're telling me now, it's going. My understanding is that how you write your resume, how you describe what you do or have done, is going to be critical in the process that you follow. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
in any AI, approach, it's garbage in, garbage out, right?
Okay.
So for the jobs, for a recruiter, if you do not write a well-written job description, our AI will reject it
Oh.
because if you, so we have a filter, it won't approve the job description. So it has to be written because it has to be readable, right? If we let garbage job descriptions in, we won't be
Mm.
able to do kind of the matching. Same thing on the candidate. If they don't write any content on their resume, they're not going to get any recommendations, right? They can still search for jobs, but the recommendations become
Mhm.
either very sparse or very, very broad. And the richer the content of their Kalibrr profile, the more relevant the recommendations become.
Well, but for example, Paul, if I'm a student, fresh graduate,
Yeah.
no work experience, what if I say, for example, I was a member of this particular club,
Yeah.
I was active in this kind of activity? Does that help?
Absolutely. Org
Mm.
work helps. And what I typically tell students is don't just join the org. What I want to see is you become a leader in the org, right? What I
Hmm.
want to be able to see is you make quantifiable impact within your org. And I think the most important thing, if you're in college today and you're watching, the most impactful thing that you can do to prepare yourself for a career is get an internship, get multiple internships while
Hmm.
you're in school still, or at a minimum during your summer break. I think that's going to be the most valuable set of experiences that you can get that will
Hmm.
help prepare you for the real world.
So, but does it also help, Paul, if I say, for example, assuming, of course, this is true, oh, I was the head of this particular organization. It could be just a
Yep,
sports club or whatever, or I was head of this, or I was active in that. Does that help too?
that absolutely helps. But there are many heads of many student
Mm.
organizations, right? And I
Right.
think increasingly employers want to see that, right? But they also want to see, well, what can you do, right?
Hmm.
Have you gone above and beyond, right? And I think that's where I think getting internships become a very valuable tool to separate, to allow people to really stand out when they go into the labor market.
Okay, I'm gonna follow through I'm coming with a follow through question just to help our would be applicants. What, for example, if I say, Paul, well, I was a president of this organization, and during my term, we organized the following conferences, we held these activities, etc., etc. We managed this, etc., and that sort of description. Does that add up
Yeah,
to
and
AI?
what I also want to see is we raise this amount of money, right?
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
the more quantifiable the achievements, the better, right? When you think about a resume and you think about any job, any leadership, any role that you've done, what I always tell people is think about those 3 to 5 bullet points that you're going to put on that resume. Make sure those 3 to 5 are quantifiable. There's a number, there's something
Yeah.
that's been grown, something
Yeah.
that's been decreased, something that's been made more efficient, right? And there's been action and impact made.
So
So,
if I So, Paul, if I say, okay, we raised 100,000 pesos, or this organization recruited 50 new members or 100 new members,
Exactly.
that sort of thing helps, right?
Exactly. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, okay. So, guys, no, remember those tips. Don't forget the numbers. Okay, but
All the time.
on another plane, Paul. Okay, you know, diversity is now an important issue in many jurisdictions, in many countries, in a growing number of companies as well. Okay, what does the job market look like? I mean, is it still harder for women than for men to get jobs? No, particularly in the kind of jobs that you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I think with digital jobs, it doesn't matter men, women,
Mm-hmm.
uh, straight, gay, bisexual. It
Mm,
really doesn't matter. In the world of technology in Silicon Valley, it's really one of the most meritocratic worlds that you can live in. And I think in our experiences, gender certainly doesn't matter anymore. So I think for women, particularly women that have children, right,
mm,
and women that are raising their families,
yes.
these digital work from home opportunities are a bit of a blessing because it allows you to earn a very competitive, if not more compelling wage while being able to also be at home with your kids.
Okay, okay. Now you raised that point again about this expanding job market, no, beyond just the Philippines, lang, no. Um, okay, what countries are doing that? Is it mostly the U.S.? Is it Silicon Valley? Are other countries also doing this? Are going down this path as well?
Yeah, I would say, if you look at the countries that have led the boom in the BPO industry in the Philippines, it's largely been countries in the West, the US being the primary driver, as well as Australia. And those are the two countries that are, I think, we're continuing to provide the demand. And what you're seeing are not Fortune 500 companies coming to the Philippines, hiring thousands of people to work in a call center. You're seeing small businesses, 20 million small businesses around the world that have never built a team in the Philippines, right? And maybe in California, it's very expensive to hire. In the US, it's soon reaching full employment, or people don't want to work because they have unemployment checks. It's actually quite hard to hire, right? In Australia, it's expensive. So if you can hire people who are just, if not more talented for a fraction of the price, and you now have platforms like Kalibrr that make it easy to hire those people, it becomes a no-brainer. So I think that is what's happening.
So it's not just the big giant companies that are doing this. You're
Yeah,
getting more small and medium scale companies in different
yeah.
parts of the world doing this thing as well.
Well, and what are those small and medium-sized companies? They're small and medium-sized digital companies. They're e-commerce companies all over the world, right? And
Mm-hmm.
they're leveraging people in the Philippines to run the customer support, right? To help merchandising with the store, help with digital marketing, right? The Philippines and Filipino talent will become a critical part of the global digital labor force.
Okay, okay. I think we ran out of time, Paul, but we'll bring you back later on in the program. In the meantime, we'll be taking questions from our audience, and I think this discussion will spark quite a bit of questions so far. Okay, stand by, Paul. And in the meantime, mga kaibigan, wag po kayo umalis. Babalik po kami. Meron pa tayong isa pang set of guests. Tuloy pa ang usapan. Welcome back mga kaibigan. Tuloy tayo sa ating usapan tungkol sa mga online job search platforms. And now we have another platform. Ito naman ay ang pangalan po nito ay PasaJob. Bakit kaya PasaJob? Tanungin natin. We have 3 guests from this group. Una-una po ay isang matagal ko nang hindi nakikita. I'm so happy to see him today. Dating senador at ngayon co-founder ng PasaJob, si Mr. Bam Aquino. Good evening, Bam. Oh, sandali lang, Bam. Wala kang audio.
Okay, I was saying good evening, Mon, and good evening to everybody watching. Magandang gabi.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us, Bam. Let's bring in the other members of your team. Kristen Mariano, the CEO and co-founder of PasaJob. Kristen.
Hello, good evening. Thank you for having us here.
Okay, and finally, the Chief Technology Officer of PasaJob, also a co-founder, si Eddie Ibanez. Eddie.
Hi, magandang gabi.
Okay, Bisaya man ka. Sige. Okay, let's go straight, to the discussion. No? Very interesting discussion. PasaJob. Let's go first to your business model. Bakit PasaJob? What's the difference? No? How do you do things differently dyan sa outfit niyo? Bam, want to start off?
Yes, so Mon, we're not ashamed to say that the name PasaJob was inspired from PasaLoad, which of course you're very, very familiar with. And
Okay.
the whole idea of PasaJob is, of course, if you get on the app, you can apply for a job yourself like any other job platform, pero pwede mo rin tong ipasa sa mga tao na feeling mo bagay yung trabahong yun sa kanila. So it is a referral platform. We've found that a lot of jobs, not only in the Philippines but all over the world, nakukuha siya through referrals, no? And we felt this was an unexplored space in the job matching platforms, no? So pwede mo itong ipasa, yung kaibigan na yon, pwede rin niyang ipasa yung job opening na yon to another person. Every job opening on PasaJob has a referral fee attached to it. And if you do get the job, if a match is made and you do get your job, everybody who referred you and that created that chain actually shares in the referral fee. Kaya sa PasaJob, you can apply for your own job or you can pass it on, refer somebody else, at kung makuha siya, you can also get rewarded. So that's the basic difference, Mon, with PasaJob. Yes, on its face, pwede siyang, it's like any other job platform where you can apply for a job directly. But what makes it unique is that you can actually pass these jobs to other people, maybe mga former colleagues mo in the same industry, kamag-anak, kaklase, kaibigan mo na feeling mo bagay dun sa trabahong yun. And if they do get the job, you get the referral fee or you share the referral fee with everybody who helped make this job happen for you.
Oh, sige, pero let me ask, Kristen, what difference does a referral make to an employer? Employer naman, I'm talking now from the point of view of the employer. Kilala ba niya itong tao nagre-refer nito? I mean, how much weight binibigyan ng mga employers yung mga referrals na ito? How do you answer that?
Okay, so as Senator Bam has mentioned, a lot of U.S. companies and even in the Philippines have their own employee referral programs. So in the U.S., that's 68% of all U.S. companies have referral programs. This is because they've found that it's 5 times more effective in terms of getting the candidates that they need. Here in the Philippines, we only have about less than 40% of companies with their referral programs, but it's still the same. So 30 to 50% of workers report having found their jobs through referrals. So I think it's pretty effective if it's 30 to 50%, and because of the technology, because it's easier to connect to other people, we've seen a rise in terms of the percentage of employers actually using referrals in order to reach out to candidates.
Oh, well, I didn't realize na. Well, sa bagay, no? Tinatanong din ako paminsan-minsan. Oh, yeah, you're gonna say something, Bam. Go. Oh.
I was gonna say, actually, Mon, nung nag-uusap na kami, we found out most of us got our first jobs through referrals also. And I'm sure many of us, either na-refer na rin tayo or nag-refer rin tayo ng mga kakilala to different jobs, no? We've also commented, it's so Pinoy, napaka-Pinoy nung referring someone that you know, referring a family member, referring a friend or a colleague for a job that comes across you, no? So we also are banking on the fact na it's cultural. May cultural bias towards referring your friends and colleagues for jobs that might come your way.
Okay. Pero sige, nabanggit kanina ni Kristen yung technology. Let's ask Eddie. Eddie, ikaw pa naman ang CTO. How do you use technology, to make this referral thing work? Sige nga.
Yeah. Sige, so how this works kasi is basically like meron tayong tatlong klase na users, no? So first natin na user are the employers. So sila yung mga kumpanya na naghanap ng trabaho, and what they do is they, instead of like paying posting fee, they're actually putting referral fee. So parang ito yung amount na ibibigay nila sa mga successful hires nila kung may nag-refer. So yan yung first user natin. And then yung next na user natin are the referrers. So ito yung mga users na siguro may job na but might know anyone who's looking for a job. So yung advantage of referrer, if they can successfully refer a candidate, they can actually earn that referral fee. And then
Sandali, Eddie. You're telling me that companies are willing to pay this fee?
Yes.
Basta yung nag-refer, na-hire yung tao, yun, babayaran yun. Ganun ang sistema. Okay.
So yung advantage po niyan is actually the companies will pay lang if syempre may ma-hire. So kung wala naman siyang ma-hire, so of course walang referral fee. So grabe siya kasulit kasi it's performance based sa employer na side. Yeah. And then
okay. Finally,
pangatlo natin is the job seekers. So sila na yung naghahanap. Either they can apply diretso sa platform or may nag-refer sa kanila. And how technology, like how are we using the technology is, kasi like example, if I know someone who's interested to the job, I just like generate a unique link for me, I pass it to that person, and if that person pa has a job but knows someone, then he can also refer. And then if that candidate will be accepted, kaming dalawa yung maghati sa referral fee. So that's already incorporated in the technology. So parang multiple level siya in terms of referral fee.
Marami yata ako pwedeng ma-refer. Sandali. Okay, anyway, sige. Anyway, but okay, so this is a new company, right? Bagong operation itong what's been your experience so far? How has it worked out? Sige nga, kung ganyan ang sistema ninyo. Sino ba? Si Kristen, sige.
Specifically, sir, what do you want to find out?
No, I mean, is it working? Are people getting the jobs that they want, and the referrers, are they successfully being able to refer people? Nakaka-refer sila.
So far, since launching in April 2021, April 21, 2021, we've had double digits in terms of people who have sourced their jobs, found their jobs through PasaJob. So marami na rin mga nakakuha ng referral fees at nakakakuha rin sila ng tinatawag na mga prizes through Pasa points. So hindi lang dun sa referral fees sila pwedeng kumita.
May points pa?
Yes. So weekly, there's a leaderboard system wherein for performing certain challenges for the week, for example, if they refer for jobs, or if they share jobs, or if they apply for jobs, they earn points. And those points land them on the leaderboard. So in top 3 or top 5 or top 10 for that week, will be getting prizes. So the prizes range from 500 pesos to, I think the most that we've given is 2,500 per person on the platform. So it's like a game. So parang maraming sumasali dahil hindi lang sila nag-a-apply, hindi lang sila nagre-refer, pero parang meron na ring interaction with the others na parang contest siya sa paramihan ng points na ma-earn. Kasi maganda rin siya dahil very reactive yung system na every time that you, for example, share a post on Facebook or you share it via Viber groups, every time that somebody clicks on the link, you earn points. So, and the points just come up, accumulate, but at the same time, by the end of the week, for another contest period, everybody goes back to zero. So it's very fair. So maraming ways in order to earn and also find jobs on PasaJob.
Parang laro pala ito, Bam, ah. Okay?
Actually, Mon, we got inspiration from games. You know, I'm a gamer myself, di ba?
Yes.
We also got a lot of inspiration from dating apps. So we won't be shy in saying that when we were first putting it together, Bumble was our inspiration. We also had some inspiration from achievements and trophies from the gaming side. Of course, a lot of job search apps. And sabi nga namin, Airbnb, you're able to monetize your spare room, di ba? Yung spare room mo na wala namang ginagawa, suddenly, pwede mo na siyang gawing income generating, no? And initially, when we had the ride sharing, the idea was you would monetize your spare vehicle. Pwede mo siyang palargahin and earn from that, no? And when we were putting together PasaJob, you're actually monetizing your contact list because you don't pay a single centavo. Wala ka namang puhunan dito, but if you join the system, you join the community, people in your contact list, people that you know, suddenly there's value there because you're able to refer, you're able to help people get jobs, and of course earn on the side. No, Kristen hasn't mentioned that referral fees can go up as high as 8,000 pesos. Our highest referral fee, I think, so far is 8,000. So, medyo malapit na yun sa minimum wage for 1 month. No, so you can definitely find a side gig being a referrer. But what we expect is that if you're part of the community, you can have fun. There's a game side to it, but you're also helping people. No? Sa panahon ngayon na maraming unemployed tsaka maraming underemployed, palagay namin kung makatulong ka na makahanap ng trabaho para sa kaibigan mo, para sa kamag-anak mo, no? It's a big help to them. So we're hoping that it's a win-win for everybody who joins the PasaJob community.
O sige, let's go now to the heart of this. Okay. Kung ako ay gusto maging, 2 questions sa sunod-sunod. Gusto kong maging successful referrer. O ano ba ang qualities o mga dapat kong gawin para maging successful referrer ako? The other question is related to the first is, kung ako naghahanap ng trabaho, how do I use your system? No? And what should I do in using your system para ma-increase naman yung chances na mahanap ko yung trabahong gusto kong hanapin? Maghahanap ba ako ng mga referrers na pwedeng mag-refer sa akin? Paano? I mean, question number 1, how do you tackle that? Let's ask our CTO, si Eddie. Anong dapat gawin ng referrer? Oh.
Sige, balik na rin natin, unahin natin yung job seeker para yung flow.
Oh, sige, okay.
So sa job seeker, so number 1, no, yung pinaka need mo talaga is kasi you'll sign up, you need a better portfolio or digital resume, no. So that's included in our system already because of course kahit ano pa yung referrer mo, kung wala namang masyadong laman yung resume mo, so ano yon, parang bad points yan sa'yo, against you, no. And then number 2, of course, yung presentation mo dapat presentable ka, yung basic interview etiquette, so dapat na ano na yun when it comes to interview. And if it's online, so kailangan maganda yung connection, so hindi siya choppy.
Ay, sandali. Eddie, yung interview nito, may interview dito, no? So you do the interview also online. Ganun ba yan?
Pwede, kasi majority of our hires actually, kasi we do din parang remote work sa platform eh. So majority of them actually is yung location ng interview nila is either Zoom link or Google Meet na link, no. So like they're actually doing the interviews online. So dapat okay yung environment, hindi maingay. And then ito yung parang sa side natin kasi unique to sa PasaJob. Dapat you need to have a good referrer na profile kasi magmamatter yon. For example, no, like ano ba yung mga points natin, so pupunta tayo sa question number 2, yung sa referrer. Ano ba yung what makes you a good referrer? So number 1, of course dapat related sa iyo yung industry, no, kasi we can see also the employers can actually see the referrer's profile as well. So dapat at the very least parang related naman yung industry niya kung saan siya nag-work sa ni-refer niya, kasi of course parang meron magpo-prove yun na there's domain expertise, no. And then number 2, kasi like prone kasi yung parang palagi ka na lang ng refer tapos That's importante yun kasi we have a point system for the referrers that actually deducts a points every time magre-refer ka tapos hindi naman
So kumbaga ano, Bam at saka Kristen, hindi ka lang pwedeng parang ano, refer ka lang ng refer kahit
No, no,
bagay yung ano, hindi does that work, di ba? It will destroy your credibility, ganun ba?
yes, yeah.
There's some we've put some algorithms, of course, in the system. The ones who will get the notices ahead, no, will be those signed up in a particular industry. So there's bias to referrers in the same industry, and of course, if you're doing the behavior na you're just referring everybody that you know, that also won't be good for your profile. So there is some. I'm not sure if Eddie will agree. I don't think is it artificial intelligence, Eddie, but there is an algorithm behind it, no? So that there will be a better match. No? There will be elements for a better match all the time.
Wow.
It also
Napaka-interesting.
factors in, sir, the credibility of the referrer in terms of the number of years that the person's been in the industry. So aside from being in the same industry as the person being referred, so for example, if somebody's been in the industry for 15 years and holds, let's say, a director position, then that carries more weight than a referrer who's only been in the industry for 1 year and who holds an entry-level position.
Okay. Bam, Eddie, at saka Kristen, thank you. Okay, now, wala nang break. Let's bring in Paul. Paul, come on. Join us na. Okay?
Yes.
Okay, we'll start to take questions from our audience. But before that, let me ask the PasaJob guys, what's your evaluation of the market ngayon? Mahirap pa ba? Mahirap pa rin makahanap ng trabaho kasi the economy is not fully hindi pa nakakabawi. Pero umaakit na ba o flat o pa ganun? Anong reading nyo so far?
So, gaya yung nasabi ni Paul kanina, I was listening to what Paul said, no? Hindi pa rin bumabalik yung mga jobs dun sa pre-pandemic levels. But comparing this year versus last year, definitely, there are more jobs available this year.
Okay, that's good to hear naman kasi alam mo, ang trabaho talaga is really, of course, a basic necessity. Pero tulad na nabanggit ni Paul kanina, uneven yung impact, hindi ba? Yung mga digital type of jobs, parang mas maganda ang sitwasyon. Bam, you're about to say something?
Yes, Mon, industry-wide, no, not just on the PasaJob site, but there are certain industries that are actually thriving now. No, you have the BPO, IT, logistics, but there are, of course, certain industries which are really having a hard time. No, your retail, restaurant, food, tourism. Nakikita natin yan, no, that some industries are really having a difficult time. Yung iba naman are doing okay, if not doing better. No, when we were thinking about launching PasaJob, because we've been at this since 2019, no, pinag-usapan naming masinsinan yon whether to launch it now or not, because we know that it's not a good time to launch. No, possibly the number of jobs out there that could be on the site will be less if we had launched in a non-normal times, no? Although I think now we still have a few hundred jobs that are available on the site, pero naisip namin to push through with the launch because we still saw that there are still companies who are looking for talent. There are a lot of Filipinos who are looking for jobs. And tama rin si Paul, no? Underemployment is much worse than unemployment. No, it's gotten worse talaga. And if PasaJob can help create a process or lubricate the process or make it easier for people to get jobs that they like, then naisip namin, we might as well launch it now, even if it is in difficult times.
Okay. Let's start getting questions from our audience. Now we've got here one from Bjorn Poblete. Paul, you might want to answer this one. Is it just resume lang ba ang kailangan? Is resume enough? Is that all you need? How do you answer that one, Paul?
Yeah, well, I think the resume is an important piece in the overall approach to recruitment. I think so. I think you want to think about a well-written resume. you want to think about making sure that you have a resume that's ideally 1, if not 2 pages long. You want a resume that's maybe slightly tailored or customized to the industry or company that you're applying for. Um, a well-written email or cover letter can help, but it cannot be generic. It has to be well-researched, customized, and really tailored for the audience. And then I think you also want to think then about the interview process and making sure that you practice your interviews and that you're going into that interview researching the company, researching the job, preparing the questions that you want to ask, and really coming out there as a strong candidate. So the resume is the start, right? The resume gets you the interview. The interview gets you the job.
Okay, so it's step 1 and then step 2. Okay, here's a question from Mary Grace Jordan, and I think this applies to both of you guys, no? May ibabawas po ba sa sahod namin? In other words, is there a fee that the job applicant will pay? Parang sa manpower services na naghahanap ng trabaho for you, at tapos mayroon bang salary deduction? In other words, what's your business model, guys?
Yeah, maybe I'll go quickly first. At Kalibrr, it's completely free for the job seeker. We charge only our employers, and it's via a subscription model to the employers. So completely free
Okay.
for the job seeker.
Okay.
Yun din, sir.
Kristen.
For PasaJob, it's free for the job seekers and the referrers, and the employers are actually posting fees for the benefit of the referrer. So instead of paying a fee, you actually stand to get a fee by way of the referral fees that are posted by the employer.
Okay. Now, here's a question. Thank you for that, guys. Here's a question from Michelle and Vadel. Ano-ano po ang mga sample na trabaho online? Pwede kang mamili na ma-applyan na work? Who wants to take that first? What kind of jobs are available? I think there are 2 elements to this question. No? Simple jobs, period. And there's also online jobs. Yung remote work kind of jobs are available. Okay? Who wants to tackle this first? Eddie?
Yeah, I think sa side namin, sa PasaJob, based sa analytics namin, yung pinaka-top talaga in terms of positions or industries, no, is nasa computer or IT na industry. And then yung next, bale, is yung mga jobs that belongs to sales and marketing. And then next is nasa accounting and finance. And then last yung services. So yun yung top naman sa amin.
Paul, on your side, what profile of the kind of work is available right now?
Yeah, I would say it's a very similar profile. IT, business, and operations related role, from entry level all the way up to senior executives. For maybe that individual who is looking for online work for the first time, perhaps it's data entry work that they may be wanting to look for so that they can begin to develop some skills and to do more complex work later on.
Okay. Oh, here's a question. I think a very interesting one. And I'd really like to hear your answer here. From Rona Santos. Malaki pa po ba ang bearing kung saan ka nag-college para sa mga apps na ito? Does your collegiate pedigree still matter a lot in this job online job application process? Paul, you want to start off with that?
Yeah, as much as I would like to say that college degree does not matter, the reality is that we do live in a world where either from a platform perspective, but really from an employer or a recruiter perspective, the where you went to school is still quite important in the Philippines. And the reason it's quite important in the Philippines is it's often the only signal about a candidate's potential, right? If you went to X school, you might have this potential to be this good. And it's often the only trusted signal other than working at a company or a recognized company that you can put on your resume. So the reality is it still does matter, but it should not make someone lose hope that if they didn't go to a top school, that they cannot get into a top company or a top job.
Bam, how do you answer that question? Thank you, Paul.
It doesn't matter to us sa PasaJob, though, because we're the platform, but I think it still does matter to the employers. Isa pa rin yun sa mga titingnan ng employers pagdating sa resume mo. So it does still matter. One of the laws that we passed before, yung Philippine Qualifications Framework, no, which I'm sure Paul knows quite well, tries to break down these college courses into skills, no, para when you apply for a job, you're bringing to them kung ano yung skills na natutunan mo, hindi lang kung saan eskwelahan ka nag-graduate, no? But the reality is, a lot of companies will look, if you finished college, will look at the college that you came from. So reality talaga yan sa mga employers. And that's why it's still important, no, to finish school. As you know, Mon, no, that's one of the things that we really push for, more accessible education. Mahalaga pa rin siya. But I can imagine a future where people are looking at what skills you learned, no? And kung saan mo natutunan yung mga skills na yon, won't just be schools. It will be online courses, it will be seminars, fora, and you will have more bodies certifying skills that you've learned, and hopefully, in the future, mas yun yung makikita ng ating mga employers din.
Okay, that's Oh, let me ask you from the PasaJob side. What have you seen so far in your experience? Does gender matter?
Well, for PasaJob, it doesn't matter. So we don't even include it in the form. So we're not allowed to give out the gender or to specify the preference of the employer on the platform.
Okay. Here's a question for both of you. Apparently, this is somebody who's already interested. How do I start?
Download the app. So, simple lang. If you're on Android, go to the Play Store. If you're on iOS, go to the App Store and start your PasaJob journey through a couple of clicks. Paki-download. If you're looking for a job, there are a lot of job openings there. Kung may makita kayong maganda at gusto ninyo, pwede kayong mag-apply. Of course, kung meron kayong makita na maganda para sa kakilala mo or kaibigan mo, you can refer right there on the app. Ganun kasimple.
Okay, and Paul, how do they start? Okay.
You can visit Kalibrr.com, KALIBRR.com on your browser, or go to the iOS or Android store and download the Kalibrr app.
Okay, gentlemen, I just noticed you're all men here, huh? I wonder what happened. Anyway, sige. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us tonight. We've run out of time. My alarm is already ringing. So thank you, and for sharing and very interesting insights that work from home is now going international, and you can earn points and money by referring people. Okay, I should start drawing up my list. Okay. Thank you again. Maraming salamat. Thank you for joining us. Okay?
Thank you, Mon. Salamat.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, at thank you again. Maraming salamat din sa inyo mga tagapakinig, and I hope na meron kayo natutunan dito sa ating discussion na makakatulong sa inyo sa paghahanap ng trabaho ang hinahanap nyo. Okay, in the meantime, laging tandaan, malaki po ang pakinabang ng gadgets, pero teka muna. Think before you click. Ako po si Mon Isberto, ang inyong tech lolo. Magandang gabi po muli mula sa amin sa Teka Muna. Kami po ang 1PH teleserbisyo para sa Pilipino.